Hello, this is Doug Pugh, back with a second of 5 highlights as a tribute to my first composition teacher, Dr. Darwin Wolford. Today we are looking at More Holiness Give Me. Since Dr. Wolford's passing last week, I decided I was going to put together this little daily tribute for a week for many reasons, to honor him, of course, but also to highlight some of the spectacular work that he did, both for people who would want to play this in church, but also for my students to learn some really great harmony techniques from Dr. Wolford. So today we're looking at More Holiness Give Me, the version for violin and piano. You can find this version in multiple guises. I think it was first written for organ as an organ prelude. This one is from his second book of violin and piano arrangements called With Strings Attached, Volume 2, it's the blue one, not the yellow one, which you can get at jackmanmusic.com. And this one happens to be dedicated to my wife and I, Janae. We actually weren't quite married yet. It was about a month before we got married in 2003 when this was published. But he went ahead anyway and did it. And hey, we stuck together. It's been 20 years. Anyway, I wanted to highlight the opening page of this arrangement because Dr. Wolford does a really great job of using a pedal tone for almost the entire page. And then on the second page, he does some more pedal tone, but on the dominant, and it's really, really well done. So I want to highlight some of those harmony lessons here. All right, so the violin and piano begin with a little intro, and then the actual hymn begins properly at bar 6. So the violin starts on its own. Turn the page. Get a new bass note, and it takes till bar 12 to get new bass notes. And then at letter A, he digs into the pedal 5. Still pedal 5 at the bottom. 5, 4, 2, 1, 6. Big appoggiatura there in the tenor voice of the piano. And the violin goes up. We get a second verse an octave higher. And goes on much in a similar way. Okay, let's go back and look at the harmony more specifically. Measure 1's really a half measure, a pickup bar, so we get the 1 between the violin. We get a full 1 chord on the piano, and then the piano steps down from the F to an E minor chord over D. Then back to that same D major with a little moving bit to another E minor over D. Then, keeping the D in the bass, G minor, a little borrowed harmony, minor 4 chord, with a flat 7 on it. So it's like a minor 4/7. And then I love this bit here. It almost sounds like whole tone music, especially when you get the A sharp, but it's really an E7 over D. And then when the A sharp and the E sharp occur, it turns into a B flat major chord with this added sharp 4 on it, and that B flat acts kind of like a chromatic median going back to D major 1 chord. Very clever. It's this in between that minor 4, and then we raise it, and then raise it again, and then. So it's this internal half-step motion that he was very fond of, which is reminiscent of Wagner and Chopin in many ways. But notice how he does it 2 different ways. So this measure here, he's using that downward half-step motion. So we had B over here, and then B flat, and F natural, and then down here, he turns it around and now uses sharps. Sharp. So things are being raised, which means they want to go up. And that he was the first one to teach me that when things are flatted chromatically, it makes it more sorrowful, and when they're raised, it creates this heightened yearning. Very much a Bach technique, but used throughout music harmony. Then the hymn starts properly. We get back to the 1 chord, back to that E minor over D, and now we get an E sharp, fully diminished 7 chord, the G sharp being in the violin, to a 5/7, but over D, and then back to 1, another 5/4/2 of 5. So this is the E7 over D, and then we get to a particularly spicy bit. So on that downbeat, we almost have G sharp fully diminished, half diminished, but he starts with B flat, C sharp, B natural. Then we get the G sharp, and then we go back to G. So it sounds like G minor, but the E in the violin makes it E half diminished 7 over D. But that little da-dee-da at the beginning of bar 9, oh man! I mean, listen to where it came from in the piano. So the left hand, the bar before, we get the 5th, D and A, and then D and B, and then D and B flat. So it has that borrowed harmony kind of thing where you flat the 6th scale degree, but it doesn't quite fit the chord. It's like this non-chord tone, but we got there with linear motion down from the B to the B natural, and it doesn't quite fit, and still doesn't quite fit, and then it fits. So I suppose you could call this a chromatic neighbor group, because it goes from the B here back to a B, but through these chromatic neighbors around the B. The B flat below, the C sharp above, and then back to the B. And then we get the E half diminished over D. Now back to 1. E minor over D like before. Same as before. E sharp fully diminished over D, and then A7 over D, and now we finally get the bass to move. It sounds like the minor 6, but we have the G sharp, so it's really E7 over B, so 5 of 5, 2, 5, ending on a big half cadence, and then, and so on. But that's what I wanted to highlight for you, just some clever ways to keep a pedal point alive for, what was that, 9, 10, 11, 11 and a half bars. It's really nice. Very, very sultry and lots of feeling in that. Well, I hope that was interesting and maybe instructive if you're working on some harmony in your own sacrament meeting music. And above all, I hope you'll look more at Dr. Wolford's music. There's a whole bunch of it over at jackmanmusic.com. Beautiful stuff. And if you like learning about harmony like this, come check out what we're doing at the Latter-day Musiversity. You can just go to www.latterdaymusiversity.com. We have harmony classes, we have how to write a primary song classes, and much more. And we'd love to see you there. All right, we'll see you tomorrow for day 3 of our Dr. Wolford tribute. See you then.